laptop or your PC, whatever you call it. Useless images on your Facebook laptop or your PC, whatever you call it.
Alright. How you guys doing this morning? Trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to start today. It's an interesting day, I guess. This weekend went by so fucking fast. I feel like I missed it. You ever have those weekends where you feel like you have more time than you really do? Excuse me. So, yeah, ordinarily, I would probably say my normal bedtime is around probably between 8 and 10. Sometimes I'm just exhausted and I just want to go lay down. Because it takes me about an hour to 2 hours to fall asleep. So, I can't stand getting that question that I'm always being asked by the mental health community. Is always asking, how are your sleeping habits? And for me, since I was a kid, it's always taken at least an hour to get me to bed. Because my brain just never shuts the fuck up. It never gives me a second to just relax. So sometimes I need some sort of assistance. So I tend to go for NyQuil. I have a prescription for Seroquel. I've been lowering that dosage because if you've ever had Seroquel, it helps. It knocks you out. But A, you won't get any dreams, and B, I feel like you really don't feel rested. You feel chemically rested. Like, you slept, but your brain is still, still in second gear for some reason. It also makes you very sweaty in the morning and just I don't know, it feels like it drains you and makes you really cranky and groggy. So I keep lowering my dosage to try to balance that out. But honestly, I'd rather not take it and fight my body to sleep than take the pills, because they just make me so different. And ordinarily, and maybe some people will laugh at this, but I am probably one of the easiest people to wake up. You wake me up, I'm already, I don't wake up in a bad mood. I wake up in whatever, I wake up pretty happy, because I grew up with a father that you could not wake up. So, alright, so to start our normal morning traditions and rituals, so big cheers to any of you guys watching this shit or watching the reruns later. So, cheers. Now, the main reason I've never been able to get any sleep, like I said, is because my brain is always going about a mile a minute, and it's hard to find any kind of catharsis or even just peace of mind, or just simple peace in itself. I tend to notice that I sleep the best, unfortunately, in hospitals, because in hospitals it's pretty damn quiet. Now, I'm a person that sleeps through gunshots and fights and screaming outside. It's just a part of being a Chicagoan. You grow up, or you just used to it. And this follows in that category of the shit that we allow. And so I have a friend that moved from the city because of the increase in violence, carjackings, overall crime in her neighborhood. Now, she lives in my old neighborhood of Albany Park, and I'm a very proud Albany Parker because, I always tell you that there's no point in being proud of something that you had no control over. So I don't see any reason to be proud of ethnicity or even sex or orientation. It's simply the way we are programmed. And so, to say, I'm a proud Italian would not necessarily be fully accurate, because although I love being Italian, I don't feel pride in it because I didn't work for it. So when I say I'm a proud Albany Parker, it's because I spent my life there, even when I didn't live there. It's just the one place where I always felt at home. I really wish I can get this damn thing to stay right here, but it won't. So like I said, I was just a very proud Albany Park resident. And it was because, I made sure that I always lived there. When I had my own place and my own apartment, I made sure that I moved out to the neighborhood I feel most comfortable. So Albany Park to me is home. Now, she moved from there because of the constant violence that's been getting worse in that neighborhood. And it was, semi-shocking to hear her tell me about the shooting she witnessed. And she had witnessed, it's never easy to witness a murder, and it's never easy to witness a shooting and stuff like that, I suppose, for the average person. Now, she had this anger towards her husband and I because he and I are like brothers, but we also come from the same area. So to us, it's no big deal. Now, even though she grew up in the same neighborhood, she never witnessed anything like that. She didn't, she wasn't privy. Well, she was privy to it, but she never had to see it. And there's a very big difference in knowing and seeing, So it's like there are facts that you can prove, and then there's facts that you just know. And shooting was one of those things she just knew. But, yeah, it definitely didn't help to actually see it and witness it. So she moved up, but she had this anger towards her husband and I, because to us it was very normal and we didn't see the big deal in it. And she just didn't understand how you could be so cavalier about certain things like that. And the truth is, it wasn't that we're cold or heartless. It wasn't a matter of being, cynical. It was simply being raised in that kind of environment where I've seen enough, where nothing surprises me anymore. So she was looking for this sympathetic ear, and although I could be sympathetic, I couldn't empathize because I don't relate. I've seen shootings that were so bad that I am scarred for the rest of my life, and I know what shock feels like. It's a strange slow motion kind of feeling, and she was close enough to witness the shooting. Now, in my own personal experience, I used to live in Uptown, and I'm sure if you're from Chicago, and I just said I used to live in Uptown, literally on the corner of Wilson and Sheridan at the Emerald Towers, I'm sure if any Chicagoan were to hear that, they would kind of moan and be like, oh shit. Because that place is a 24-hour war zone. I got mugged for nothing. One night I came home around 2:30 a.m. and it was because the bars were just closing, and rather than waiting for going to a 4 a.m. bar, we just called it a night because we were broke. I get out of my friend's car, and I should have, as a man, you wouldn't have asked for this anyway, but the smart thing would have been to ask him to wait until I get into my building. But that's, it's kind of a bitch move. So, I just waved him off and said bye. And as soon as he was out of my sight and I can no longer see his lights, his rear lights, I approached the door of Emerald Towers, and I am immediately pushed from the back of the head, so my face smashes into the glass. Now, the glass is very, very thick, so it didn't break or anything, but it made a small crack, and it, fucked up my head. So when I hit the ground, I was so intoxicated that I just needed to lay down. As soon as I got home, I was gonna go right to sleep. But bam, get my face slammed in there, and these 2, maybe 3 guys start going through my pockets, and I can feel it, and I'm slowly coming to, and I had blood in my mouth. I can taste it. But I started laughing, and they said something like, fuck you laughing at? And I said, you guys should have robbed me 5 hours ago. You ain't gonna find shit now. I'm broke. And so, I get a couple more kicks to the stomach, and then they run off. And they didn't even take my cell phone, which shows you how broke I was, because I had this shitty little cell phone. And at the time, iPhones were just coming out, which was, how serendipitous. But, they did not want my phone. So I rolled over, picked myself up off the ground, and I shouted out, "You forgot my phone!" I ended up going back inside, telling my roommate what happened. And then, actually, I think I never even got to tell her. She was just mad that I showed up late. So it's bad enough I get beaten up, and then I get, the silent treatment from my roommate. The week after that, there was a shooting that me and my next door neighbor, I was at his house, and we used to have this deal where he would cut my hair and I would throw him some weed. So I must have gave him like an eighth, and he gave me he was a professional, so he gave me real haircuts. And So I gave him like probably like a couple grams, maybe an eighth. And so I was getting free haircuts all the time. That's when I was at his house waiting for my roommate because she had the keys to the house. And I went up to my next door neighbor's house and waiting for my roommate. And we hear this shooting going off outside. So as that shooting goes on outside, um, of course we're, it's our neighborhood, and it's we felt it was our responsibility to go downstairs and find out what's going on. So we hit the lobby, and it is mass chaos outside. I see a young black kid on the ground, and he's bleeding so bad that it's going from curb to curb. I might have told you this story already, but I tried to use my shirt as a tourniquet because I could see that all the blood was coming out of his neck. At this point, I had noticed while taking my flannel off and trying to tie it, I had noticed this kid was gone. The eyes tell you everything. And this kid was gone. And he must have been about 13. And the boy didn't have a gun in his hand, so it was completely uncalled for. Now, as I was doing that, suddenly this lady comes out screaming. I beg her not to look, and she sees it. And then as the crowd got bigger, suddenly whoever the shooter was decides to start shooting into us, the crowd. Now, by this point, we have an ambulance, on its way. We have a firefighter on its way. And we have a small police presence already there. And right there, just showing up. And before they could even ask me what was going on or ask anybody, that the gunshot started going, they figured out where it was coming from, so they're firing back. And this is all in the broad daylight in the public. Not hundreds, but, tons of people around you. So, our first idea was, let's get the lobby door open and get as many people to safety as possible. So we had done that. Unfortunately, I had to leave the boy there with his mother. His mother got pulled away because of the shots, but I'll never forget that, because my friend, PJ, the guy that was my neighbor, he ran back into the crowd, and I'm shouting, "What the hell are you doing?" But he comes back out, and he's a very big dude. Like he's not tall, but he's broad, and he's very big. He's a weightlifter. Excuse me. So, in the midst of all these people and fucking gunshots and all this, I see him rushing out of the crowd with a little girl on his shoulder. Turned out he had witnessed her getting trampled and ran in to do something. So I was holding the door open, and we got the girl to safety. She only had probably a twisted ankle, but I walked home, or I was home, but I walked out. I had just gotten paid, so I had something like $500 on me in cash and in my pocket. I'm walking with this like gray shirt on that is covered in fucking blood. I remember a cop even shooting right by my ear, and the ringing was still going. So as I was walking away from the house, now I'm just in shock. And I don't even know how to deal with it. So I start walking back to my ex-wife's bar and on Foster and Clark, and I made it there, and just, as much as my ex-wife and I weren't talking, we still love each other, and so she saw, the shock in my eyes and the blood on my shirt. And you have to remember that my first taste of death was at like 5 years old, 4 years old, with a different person. And so this was more like being caught in a war zone that I had nothing to do with and had no business in. So just wrong place, wrong time. But to this day, I would never, ever change anything I did. I know I did the right thing by running down. And so with all that, it's harder for me to empathize with someone that's witnessed a shooting. Because I right away am asking questions like, well, did they shoot at you? Did you have to run? Were you in danger? Because it doesn't compare to what happened to me. And that's not the way to think. You should never compare one struggle to another. Everybody experiences trauma differently. And so as much as I love her, I just wish I could empathize with that. And it just shows you, stranger. Joker got that dead on. Now, the reason why the episode is called Miniseries Suck, and this is a simple reason. I have not, let me start off by just saying, the last 2 movies I've watched were so much fun. And one was made in 2015, the other was made this year. So I told you guys about Bullet Train and how much fun of a movie that is. I'm probably going to watch it again today. But this morning, I watched Hardcore Henry. And again, it's just so much fun. I almost forgot what it's like to have fun watching a movie. And the biggest peeve I have towards the industry now is that nobody can just make a damn 90-minute film anymore. Everything has to be some goddamn series. And you look at Dahmer, for instance. Who the fuck was this show geared for? Like, who was the audience that this was for? Because it almost puts Dahmer in a sympathetic light. And there's nothing wrong with sympathizing with anybody, especially, someone that did something wrong. But it reminded me of the movie, that really horrible Travolta movie that was based on John Gotti. It was like, who is the audience here? Like, they almost put Gotti in a positive light rather than the misery and destruction and chaos that the organized crime industry gets you, or brings you. And, Goodfellas was great at this. Godfather was extraordinary at this. But a good gangster flick always manages to blend, no matter how cool the character is, always manages to put the reality and perspective into play that what they're doing is wrong. And they're not the kind of person to look up to. They're interesting to focus on, but they are not one to be looked up to. And I feel like Gotti was just a love letter, and when you look at who was behind making it and all that crap, I mean, it was obvious that this was not going to be a good movie. Who the hell would ever say, who would be a good music composer for a movie? Pitbull. First of all, motherfucker's not Italian. He's a fucking wannabe. He's just some fucking Puerto Rican dude, a light skinned Puerto Rican dude with sunglasses. That's all he is. He's not a musician. He's not a singer. He's not a rapper. What the fuck does he do? I mean, there's only so many times you can yell out "Orale." You know, I mean, shit. Is that like your? Did you learn all your Spanish from watching a fucking George Lopez routine? Because the constant "Orale" and just the ways that the Hispanics talk in movies, I don't. It's so cartoonish. It just bothers me. They rarely use Spanglish. They'll just throw in the word "orale" in everything. You know. And I'm not saying the Hispanics don't use that, but not so much the Puerto Ricans though. It's more of a Mexican thing. And again, it was terrible music, terrible writing, terrible direction, but it was a movie. That's the only thing that I can say about it. It was a movie. At least it was only 90 minutes. Now, with the streaming services, everything is a goddamn series. So, the premise of something will be so fucking brief. Like, the whole premise is, I don't know, let's just say the collapsing of a bridge, okay? There's a famous bridge, and 50 years ago it collapsed, okay? They will give you a fucking 20 episode miniseries or a 10 episode miniseries, each with an hour, set time. And you will get nothing but filler until the final climax of when you see the damn bridge fall. And it's like, this could have been done in an hour and 15 minutes. Why do you have to stretch everything out to 8 to 10 hours? I don't understand. Some things are just not meant to be like that. And so I'm using Dahmer as the main example because it's perfect. I watched the very first episode, and the very first episode just starts off with his last victim. And it's like, if you're going to do a fucking mini-series and have me watch 10 hours of this crap, you should start with victim number 1, It's the only way you're going to get this to be interesting. So, I did not like Dahmer. I thought it was boring. And just like a lot of these miniseries, I think they're fucking boring and pointless. Rings of Power is another great example. Somehow, you made a fucking series that was so bad, you actually made the Hobbit movies look good. So, I can't stand miniseries. Please, just Hollywood, go back to making fucking movies. I want to sit there and be entertained for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it seems like that's just not enough time to tell a story anymore. So everything has to be told in 8 hours or 10 hours instead of just 2. And another thing is that movies, when they actually do make a movie, it's never 90 minutes anymore. It's always over 200 minutes. And you could cut probably a third of the movie out, and it actually would have been better. So, in that sense, I can fairly understand Todd Phillips and his disdain for Easter eggs and mainly deleted scenes. he won't show you deleted scenes because he said they're deleted for a reason. But if you watch Road Trip, there's a deleted scene that totally should have been in the movie. So he's not always right. In Road Trip, they have a deleted scene where the guy's knocking on the door and the guy pops out, and there's a guy that pops out and just totally overreacts to it. It's hilarious. But so I don't fully agree with him when he says that deleted scenes are pointless because they're deleted for a reason. Sometimes they're actually really good, and I wish they put them in the movie. But what I'm saying is I do understand him to a point because of the fact that they're making movies so goddamn long. It's like they're putting in those, it's like they're adding in those deleted scenes that should have been deleted in the first place. Alright? Now, remember, if you like what you're hearing, alright, remember to just go ahead and right there support us. We really need it. Thanks again to our new hit on Twitch. I'm really happy about that because we get guys like this that jump in. All right, go away now. Go. Shoot. All right. So please check us out over on Twitch. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We're everywhere. Don't forget to subscribe, like us, share us, do whatever you can. We're going to have a new song put out today. So go check out SoundCloud, and Useless Agent will have a new song within probably about the next hour. So thank you so much for joining me. If you're going to watch the reruns, leave us a comment. Talk about something that you want to hear on the show. If there's a topic that you really want to jump into, or you really want to just have a conversation about, or you want to hear someone talk about, definitely, send us a comment. Otherwise, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, compliments, or you want to send me presents, or if you just want someone to talk to, just hit us up over at uselessagentmusic@gmail.com. We are on there every day. I check it, and every day we respond to whoever writes to us. Okay? We love you very much. Thank you so much. And as usual, I will see you on the other side. And I'm still not used to being stuck in this tiny frame. So, take care of each other, alright?
Useless agent is on your